Now, tensions between Israel and Iran are escalating. Israel pounded Iran with airstrikes early Saturday morning and then said that they were targeting the military targets in retaliation for the barrage of ballistic missiles that Iran had fired upon Israel earlier this month. In fact, smoke was visible over the city's skyline and explosions were heard in the Iranian capital of Tehran. At the moment, no immediate information on damage or casualties has been reported. The IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Forces, framed these strikes as a defensive move to counter the relentless attack by Iran and its allied proxies, focusing on Iranian military. Amid all this, it is the White House and the President, Joe Biden, which at the moment have been briefed regularly about the escalation that is taking place between Iran and Israel.
Firm that we have concluded the Israeli response to Iran's attack against Israel. We conducted targeted and precise strikes on military targets in Iran, thwarting immediate threats to the State of Israel. The Israel Defense Forces has fulfilled its mission.
My colleague Shiv is now joining me on the broadcast. Shiv, we are seeing threats are flying from one side to the other side. Israel has now responded and they have given a stern warning to Iran saying, we are done with our precision strikes, but if you retaliate, there will be consequences.
This was a three-wave strike, Aishwarya, that took place. And I think ever since the missile strikes that took place, earlier this month from Iran against Israel, Iran was always constantly on standby for this Israeli retaliation. It was not a matter of if, but when this attack would come. Now, as more and more information emerges from Israel, it is becoming clear that this particular attack has been postponed at least twice before, owing to weather reasons. The Israeli military commanders, and especially the Prime Minister, is understood to have insisted that there needs to be a very, very clear picture of what targets have been attacked, the kind of damage that has been inflicted on Iran, and it cannot be ambiguous. And therefore, clear weather needed to be insisted upon by the Israeli military before this strike could take place. So we understand that between mid-October and now, there were at least a couple of occasions when the strikes could have taken place, but they were postponed by Israel. This attack, obviously planned completely in secrecy, but pre-shared with the United States, obviously, was conducted by three waves of fighter aircraft. We are given to understand that all of these attacks were airstrikes. These were Israeli fighter jets from different bases that were flying in packages of about 25 to 30 fighters each in three waves, and they conducted airstrikes using long-range air-launched, ground attack missiles like the Rampage and the Rocks, to first knock out Israeli air defense facilities and radars. We understand that the first wave of strikes basically knocked out essential radars that are used by Iran to detect incoming aircraft, incoming missiles, and things like that, in order to soften up the defenses in Iran. And the second wave of attacks took place on missile and drone facilities of Iran. Remember that from April this year and in October this year, Iran has attacked Israel using both long-range drones as well as ballistic missiles, and therefore, both symbolically and obviously for reasons of strategy and tactics, Israel was keen to attack the very facilities from where Iran was able to either manufacture or fire these missiles and drones to send out a very, very clear message. Now, precisely where the Israeli fighter aircraft may have flown from is a little difficult to say right now, but we do know that they used long-range missiles. So it's not like these fighter aircraft, Aishwarya, would have had to penetrate Iranian airspace. That would have been almost unthinkable because Iran is a country that has very strong air defenses. It has its own air force. It has a vast array of surface-to-air missiles as well, which is why the Israeli aircraft, which are basically the F-35s, the F-15s, and the F-16s, would have been flying outside Iranian airspace, perhaps over Syria or elsewhere, and launching these missiles from outside Iranian airspace. Those missiles would have penetrated Iranian airspace and hit their targets. Now, obviously, this is far simpler than far more difficult and complicated than I'm making it sound. But we have to remember that Israel has conducted airstrikes of this very kind, even against Iran. After the April barrage of drone attacks on Israel, Israel had actually conducted a similar air-launched missile strike on an airbase in Iran at that time as a retaliatory measure, even though it did not escalate in a very big way. But like we have on the map on our screen right now, it's very clear that Israel has hit about 20 targets, is what we're given to understand. There may have been more targets which were not hit, but all of that becomes very, very difficult to prove at this point of time because there is still the fog of war. Iran has not acknowledged all of the things that Israel is claiming at this point of time. And that is pretty much routine when something like this happens. Hopefully, we will get more information in the hours and the days ahead.
Shiv, we are also seeing how Israel is at the moment looking at crippling Iran's economy, targeting the ammunition manufacturing units, threatening the oil reserves. So they are now making sure that they have precision in the way in which they go about this retaliation.
Absolutely. Look, after the missile strike by Iran on Israel on October the 1st, I think every single target of value in Iran was basically put on notice, whether it was its oil terminals, whether it was its trading ports, whether it was its military facilities. There was a lot of talk about the 3 or 4 nuclear facilities in Iran also being, potential targets for a strike. Now we know, of course, that those nuclear facilities were not targeted by the Israelis, but it was very clear that all options were open, Aishwarya, and Iran being a very large country in the Persian Gulf, a country that has very close relations with Russia, with China, etc. There are many different high value targets that could have been attacked by Israel. It has chosen to focus on ammunition and missile production facilities, and it has chosen also to attack air defense facilities. I think because it wanted this very much like Iran's own airstrike, missile strike, to be a kind of contained response to what Iran actually did, and not to attack an oil terminal or a trading facility or a port or something that can damage its immediate economy, because that would have been seen as a much larger retaliatory measure, which could have expanded the war beyond just Iran and Israel. So it's very important to see the precision of what Iran and Israel have both done. They've both basically signaled that we can attack you. Iran signaled we can attack you, even though remember that not even one Israeli was killed in those attacks by Iran. And in this particular attack by Israel, we don't know what the body count is. We don't know what the death toll is. None of that has been revealed so far. It's difficult to assess at this point of time, even with open source intelligence. But the message here is very clear that Iran, you are not out of reach. Israel is basically saying that we have the capacity and the capability to attack your most sensitive facilities as well. And also remember that after Iran had attacked Israel, it was very difficult for Israel not to respond. Imagine this domestically, Aishwarya. It would have been a very difficult story to sell, to say that, we're constrained and we can't attack.
Right.
There has to have been an attack. And the pressures of symbolic attacks are very, very strong, especially in this region. So we have to see what precisely the damage, what precisely the damage is that has been conducted or affected by Israel in this particular attack before we make a full assessment of what kind of damage has been inflicted. Because at this stage, at least, it appears that this was more like a symbolic attack, attack on Iran, sort of designed to convey to Iran that we can hit facilities that are important to your war fighting machinery.